Hello everyone, this is Stephanie Oakham, your PEA president. We just finished up with a great school visit at Crystal Lake Middle School today. But I wanted to talk to you guys about the passing of Senate Bill 1296 and what this does to your rights and how we can stand up and fight for our rights together. So if you remember a couple years ago, if you've been in education this long in Florida, Senate Bill 256 made us have a 60% membership threshold. And it also took away our ability to collect dues through payroll. And so we had to switch to a new system, all that jazz. And so if we were not at 60% membership, we had to do the PERC elections, which is the Public Employee Relations Commission. And many of you have been around now. We've done 2 rounds of these elections where union members have paid almost $10,000 an election to keep our rights and keep our contractual rights in place to bargain with our employer. And so during this session, both the Senate and the House have turned their backs on working people, and they passed at the billionaire's discretion from the Freedom Foundation, Senate Bill 1296. And so what this bill does is it attacks the PERC election part of the recertification. And so in regular elections, you win by a majority of votes that were cast, right? Well, in this change that will be signed by the governor, it makes that turnout for the election has to be 50% plus 1, which means a majority of the bargaining unit must vote in the election for it to be a valid election. And so what that does is you are now relying and playing Russian roulette with your contract if we're not over 60%, because the PERC elections are set up to dissuade people from voting. PERC sets the elections. We've had elections through the summer. We've had elections through winter break and spring break. The employer sends up the voter list with the addresses. And so the information is only as good as the employer has. If you have a protected address because your spouse is law enforcement, your ballot's being sent to your school. And if we're not in session or you're not at work, you're not getting a ballot. And unlike regular vote by mail, where you can track your ballot and the supervisor elections says, yes, I've got Stephanie Oakham's ballot, it is here and it will be counted, we have no idea until PERC starts opening the ballots the day of the election count whether your vote actually got to PERC in Tallahassee or not. And so there are too many variables that you cannot control in these elections anymore based on the passage of Senate Bill 1296. And so we are one of the first locals that will be up for recertification because our membership snapshot and recertification are over the summer. And so we can no longer occupy the space of relying on valid PERC elections to keep our contracts in place. And so I challenge you that you look through your contracts and you look to see what you're willing to give up if your right to collectively bargain goes away through this process. We cannot let that happen. We have power together, and now is the time to get involved and join your union and be part of the solution. Let's be part of the collective people power solution to force Tallahassee to fund public education appropriately and adequately, to force them to not only pay us as a professional, but respect our professional expertise. We have that power collectively, but we must do it together. And that means that you must join your union because we must be over 60% to avoid the ridiculousness of a PERC election. And so we're going to be your stewards, and your officers and our staff are going to be out like we normally are, but doubling because it is so important that you know what's at stake and we get our colleagues off of the sidelines and into the fight with us, because our rights and the 50 years of the contracts that we have fought for are worth it.